the grueling battle for the belt rages on here in the Quake Pro League. Now, we're going to be slipping into Dramis versus Sib. Dan, two players from North America that we've invested quite a lot of sort of time into really talking about how much they've developed, I'd say, since Poland, and for Dramis even beforehand, right? We were touching on how good they've been looking and how much they were improving. Is that still the trend we're noticing?
Like I said at the start, feels to me that, in a way, Dramis almost Ron-esque. Feels that when he is up against the Raffas and the Hangs of the world, he steps up his game. Right. He seems to have all of the ingredients to be someone that can push on to that next level, but then doesn't seem to take advantage of his overall when he plays people that might be further down the leaderboard. And it doesn't feel that overall his game has been progressing as much as we might have seen in Season 2. So I wouldn't agree with it for the case of Dramis. But Sib has shown us a whole range of different, and he's very, very new to the scene. So I think he's definitely come on a much quicker progression curve in the recent weeks. But this is going to be the big test for Sib of where he sits in that pecking order. Is he moving up to become one of the alphas, or is he still going to be sitting right down in the kind of lower tiers?
We'll find out. We do have the veto as well, so we can get into that and see if that actually swings us at all with this series. Let's have a look where we start. Ruins of Sarnath. Okay. A Sorlag coming out for Dramis versus the Slash for Sib. He loves those fast, high octane movement speed characters, right? Sib is all about the aggression. He's all about the speed. And he's actually been able to get away with two of them. There's a lot of speed in this series.
Well, Dramis was very similar.
Games, right?
They both love to play high tempo Quake. I think overall Dramis has shown us a slightly better level of skill, but Sib seems to be more adaptable from what I've seen. And they love the speed. Sorlag, Strogan Pika, Slash, Anarchy. You couldn't get a quicker matchup for the first two games.
No, yeah, that's actually quite ridiculous. That's also Molten Falls. It's going to be our second map. And then finally, Vial of Vengeance with Keel for Sib. No stranger to a Keel. Obviously, brings it out a little bit more sparsely, but he's still quite confident with it, versus a bit more of a standardized Ranger from Dramis.
Yeah, we saw Keel being used quite a lot by Rafa back in the earlier weeks and end of Season 2. It's a very, very strong champion on that map, and if he's playing well, he's impenetrable. But as we've spoken about extensively, the Ranger is equally as powerful. So just because of the utility. It's going to be high octane fun Quake. I pointed it out. This is one of the more interesting. Both sit in relatively same region, the leaderboard. They're both in and around similar levels of skill and progression. And I think it's going to be a big mental boost for whoever comes out on top to put separation on the leaderboard, but also separation in terms of perceptions of where they all sit, as I said, within that North American pecking order.
No, yeah, that is going to be a very big point of this game, of how close or how far between these two now are after the time they've had to really find themselves in this deeper position in the Quake Pro League. We're going to be getting straight into it over on Sarnath Slash versus Sorlag. Two speedy girls in the server for our opening matchup, and I'm excited to see it, Dan.
Yes, we have equal levels of speed coming out, but not mirror matchups. Slash with slightly more pace to her game when she's used well, but Sorlag obviously with extreme stack advantage over and above the Slash, and that can pay dividends, as we said earlier in the day. You can just run at your opponent. Slash can run away in kind, so it's not as impactful as it would be otherwise, but still very valuable to have that stack advantage.
Oh yeah, it can definitely still help out and come in clutch when it's needed. We'll see if that is going to be the case, as we are now ready to get underway with this one. We're going to be kicking it off and slipping straight into the speedy gameplay. Sib makes his first move over towards the heavy. Dramis will favor the mega to start us off. And this actually could be where we get our initial confrontation very early on into the game. Both of them slowing down and walking their way towards Sib makes noise as he fires off the nails. Does he realize that he is so close towards Dramis? Dramis reveals himself, Dan, and he is all in for the fight. Sib on 2 HP. Oh, that is ridiculous.
But does get knocked well up into the air onto that Mega, so lives to fight another day, but still has no real weapons. So wants to get onto the rocket launcher sometime soon. Oh, he's stuck a little bit on the side of the wall, but isn't going to matter.
Sib, 44 HP. Dives back once again after taking a little bit of damage. Dramis is in a huge position for his stack. Already building himself up to look like an absolute skyscraper. And he will rip his way through Sib there, taking him down with the LG. Sib will fall 1-0 to start the game in the favor of Dramis.
And this is going to be the problem, is Dramis manages to keep a stack advantage up. He can just lay the pressure down on Sib. So Sib needs to make sure his presence is felt around the major items, because otherwise his life's going to be very difficult indeed.
Ooh, the globules have taken down. Well, that is a second follow-up frag already picked up there for Dramis. So the momentum is definitely firmly in his favor.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of why it's so difficult, because Dramis can just run at him. It doesn't matter if Sib responds in kind, because Dramis' stack is going to be at least twice as large.
Dramis gracefully making his way around the map. He's starting to replenish the globules, find himself everything he needs in terms of the light armor. Now, spotting out Sib, fully committed to the firefight, to battle over control of the Mega, and he kills him before Mega even spawns in.
Yeah, it feels Sib hasn't found his footing just yet. He's caught pretty much off guard without Dramis really setting up any traps to speak of. Just running into him.
Sib overthrown there by the LG of Dramis, and yeah, he's just going from frag to frag now, chaining them together. Living the high life, looking a lot more aggressive. Both of them are on speedy champions, but Dramis definitely looks like he's the one setting the pace of the game.
He is indeed. Sib trying to make himself felt, which is exactly what to do. Just can't afford to take damage in return. Also needs to make sure he has good timing, which at the moment he hasn't done.
Stopwatch.
Heavy comes up. Dramis is trying to delay the heavy spawn with the timing. He was waiting for a potential push from Sib, one that has not come.
No, but in all that time, Sib also hasn't got onto any items of his own, and off that rail, Dramis knows he can put some more pressure on if he needs to, but instead just plays the fundamentals. That's good from Sib, but as we can see, Sib himself is just incredibly weak. He needs to hit 3-4 rails to try and even it up at any one time.
Stopwatch.
If he takes one of his own, it sets his whole game back. So he needs to break this barricade that Dramis has formed, and he has done that. He stole himself the Mega. Can he get himself a heavy?
5-minute warning.
Nice. Oh no.
Oh no, that's rough. 1 HP straight into the HMG, and then he hits the DEC Okay, again, he's been eliminated as well, as Dramis will finish him back off. So Sib really struggling to find any into this matchup. It is not going well for him at all. Again, look how low he is. Dramis is just punishing him, and he is quick on the hunt as well, hungering to try and take him down. Luckily enough, he gets a little bit of breathing room for once.
Yeah, a little bit of an experience, I would say, out of the spawn, giving Dramis a free frag when he spawned in the tri-bowl area. Could quite have easily have gone the way of the rocket launcher, but decides not to, and now Dramis is training easy frag, and this lead is looking insurmountable.
Impressive. Combo kill. Killing spree.
Unfortunately, Sib is just, it's not working out for him in this map so far.
No, it's not at all. Probably the biggest early lead we've seen from anyone today. Dramis has done such a good job of just getting frag after frag, and we're only 6 minutes in. There's still an awful lot longer to go here as well, meaning there is still a chance for Sib to return into the game. It's looking like he's really struggling to get anything going for himself right now.
Yeah, for the most part, Sib's done a decent job of hitting rails outside of items, but not to the point where either it threatened Dramis or not to the point where he was doing it from a position that prevented Dramis' progression. He was doing it from these rather nothing positions where Dramis could then just continue on his pathing and pick up items again. So Sib needs to make a conscious effort to take more aggressive positions. That's good. If you're stringing them back to back, that's great.
I mean, that's the sad bit. Sib actually has like nearly 1,000 more damage.
But he's also got 2 heavies and 3 megas.
Yeah.
That's where he's fallen down. He's just not put enough effort on getting on major items.
He's landing the shots, but obviously just always behind on the stack. It's just not the ideal position to be in. Gets the plasma trail down, so hopefully Dramis would have come through and taken damage, but instead, no, he repositioned and played it safe. And it's about to be 8 minutes as well. Sib, he needs to start getting those frags now, or essentially he's just giving this map. He won't get much more chance to really find his way into it. He just physically won't have the time if he carries on playing like this against Dramis.
Netmaster.
Ooh.
Dramis has just done what he's needed. Hasn't looked overextended. He's rotated the items well. His aim has been really strong. And he's showing us again why we have hyped him so much. But at the same time, it felt that Sib, partly because of just Sorlag's stack against him, but just never was in a position to threaten Dramis. Very much on the back foot the entire game.
Oh, the globules, damn. Burning through him
Takes down.
with that high acidity as they'll melt him away to just bone. Sib drops the plasma trail outside the teleporter, but it's really going to be nothing more than just a fanfare, a bit of explosion to seal the deal on this map and give it to Dramis. It's a 12-3 scoreline. I don't think there is anything else that can really come of this other than making it 13-3.
Well played by Dramis.
Locks it down. Gonna get a fourth final frag to bring it up to. No, he can't. Unfortunately for him, that's just a 14th now for Dramis and Sib. This boat has sailed.
From the grave.
They trade for the final killing blow at least. Now, again, Sib, he did have more damage than Dramis. Like 200 more damage. Just major items wise, he's about 10 heavies behind.
Yeah, but you have to think, right? If Dramis had all the items, he had all the stack. Sib needs to do double Dramis's damage
Yeah.
to even have an even game, because of that. That's how big the stack difference is. If you're having even damage against a Sorlag and you're a Slash, you're going to lose every single time. That's why it's such a difficult matchup. And Sib did a great job of, as I said, getting in positions to do damage, but then they were, they weren't really positions to capitalize upon anything. They were nothing. It was essentially nothing damage. Dramis didn't care getting railed outside of items because they just rotate onto another item because Sib wasn't in a position to either deal more damage or then to follow that up with an item pickup. So yeah, it was a tough ask going up against a Sorlag. So this matchup is a little bit more even, but still slight stack difference.
I mean, it's still going to be rough. Again, you've got two very fast champions as well, Strog and Pika for Dramis. We know how good he is on Strog, especially on Molten Falls. He's had some very highlight-worthy moments in the past. Normally, with that railgun, he's shown to hit some sick shots already in tonight's series, so he's looking hot. For Sib, the worry is, what can he bring out? What's going to come to the surface now? Was there the true Sib we expected to see potentially, or is this going to be more of the same? Because he was hitting his shot, sure, but he just couldn't get any control into that matchup. Maybe on Molten it would be a little bit different.
It was strategy, not execution.
Yeah.
So it definitely needs to be a big shift in the way he approaches the game.
He is at least on the Anarchy, another champion that he does enjoy playing a lot, and we've seen him bust out relatively commonly. So there's at least a potential chance for it.
Yeah, it's definitely more even, and it's a map where you can avoid those a lot easier. As we said earlier, it's generally a lower scoring game, a closer game, so that will favor Sib definitely, even it up if anything.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Back into Molten Falls, second map in the series. Curious to see how this one will go. We've put a lot into Sib before purely because some of the times he has these amazing games, and other times it feels like he falls a little bit flat, almost as if the fuel just isn't really in the tank. The same can be said about Dramis, though. Both of these players, very similar in playstyle, very similar approach, and similar in their overall story they've had in the Quake Pro League. Let's see if this one will be writing the history books a little bit differently, though, as we get into it. All right, well, already it kicks off with a bit of aggression between the both. As Sib slips back into an elevated angle, and he's just playing for the audio cues, looking for a potential push as he gazes towards the exit from Mega.
He does need a rail. He can't do much damage just sitting there. So as you say, just listen to the audio cues. Maintaining a strong position up top just to do exactly this.
Nice.
And that's seriously nice. Try bolting.
Taken. Tank.
Unfortunately, Dramis gets the perfect spawn to get back onto that Mega. Yes, it's wrong.
Oh no. There's a world where that could have worked out so well for him. Instead, it basically just sold him to Sauron.
It was exactly the right thing, just the wrong direction.
So a frag apiece, a Pika has been punished, and Dramis just firing out wild Hellion salvos with the rockets there, hoping to connect onto Sib. Then it will be the LG used to initiate, but he realizes his stack's too low, gets a bit wary about the situation, and does retreat to get the Mega.
Nice by Dramis.
He's still hitting his shots at least, and that is going to be the important takeaway.
Yeah, but once again, it's shots that in the grander scheme of things don't do an awful lot because he's not following up with any pressure in either positioning or physical pressure. So now if he uses that shot to capitalize upon heavy, it's worthwhile, which he looks like he's doing, but that's a good rocket by Dramis.
Both of them trading blow for blow with the LG, zapping each other up and doing an awful lot of damage across the board. Dramis darting around as he looks to try and reposition. Rail in hand, just not given a clear shot onto Sib whatsoever.
Oh, that's unfortunate by Sib as he straight onto it. And that means he takes the lead. He has got good timing on the Mega at least. That's his huge lifeline in the game so far. Without that, he'll be in a world of pain. Braves going up there. Dramis didn't think he would either.
Stopwatch.
Dramis really roaming around relatively quickly on this map. Sib will spot him and actually do a nice amount of damage as just as the Mega comes up. So he's never really been given a clean fight to find a punishing frag and start to do some real damage against Dramis. It's always been him fighting from the back foot. Oh, that rail. Barely missing as it all zipped by. That one definitely connected though.
Yeah, that's nice. But Dramis still has a very commanding stack. He's done an amazing job to hit those rails back to back through the teleporter as well. And at this point in time, there's a big enough split on the items where Dramis can control both. So Sib needs to try and find a way to... No way, as he knocks him off. That was close.
So close.
He's done an immense amount of damage, and Dramis is scampering away with nothing to work with. Sib wants to keep on the pressure here. That's a nice rocket. 7 HP.
Leave tide.
Perfect. That's much better by Sib. This time making the pressure count. Following it up back to back.
2-2, 6 minutes in. Fight for the Mega will again go the way of Dramis, though he's able to walk over it and pick it up. But it begins to back off ever so slightly. Still 4 minutes between them. And the end of this map here on Molten. The second map in our series. Sib with a rocket launcher in his hand. Playing very aggressive. He's trying to force a fight out against Dramis, but Dramis is just hiding. He's playing so slow, playing for audio.
Yes, but it is tied up, so Dramis or somebody will need to make a move at some point. But both entirely happy to play this more methodical, slower paced game at this point. Oof, that was close.
He's only got 3 rockets left, and I think he's just heard him through the wall, so he did try and adjust, hoping that Dramis would bounce around the corner. Sib uses this opportunity to instead go and restock his rockets, so his arsenal's in a bit of a better position in case he does need to go for a fight. Now, he hasn't been using that injection consistently, instead holding it off the used it at more of an adequate time. Ooh. Oh, that feels good. This really is some aggressive fighting between them both. Dramis is swinging. When he gets an opportunity and an inkling of the angle that Sib is playing from, he is fully committing to try and take him down, putting everything on the line to do so.
Neither one now wanting to overcommit, as the time does keep slipping away, where the next frag will be the decider one more than likely. So it's becoming ever more cautious.
Master.
Once again, nearly knocking Dramis off.
Lost.
Wow. That just shows you how weak an Anarchy is. Because Sib had a decent enough range of items to his name, but just a flick of damage into a Pika, and he's dead. And all Dramis needs to do now is not make a mistake.
Not make a mistake for a relatively short period of time, just over a minute. That's one nice way to make a good play. He does detect Sib and tries to tackle him in a one-on-one. Gets a nice bit of damage off to him. 60 seconds now remain on the clock to round out Molten. He does still have that one frag lead.
1 minute
Also
warning.
getting tagged every time he spots Sib. Sib, fully committing to the fight
No
though,
way.
will be able to take him down. And finally, he comes out at the moment that matters most.
That was crazy. The full shotgun blast up the jump pad. Sorry. Oh, switches weapon just at the wrong time, but does follow up with a nice the hallway.
Alright, it seems like sudden death is going to be where we're going to decide this and see who will be able
What
to
a rail that was.
tonight. Big shots being landed. The sudden death is unavoidable now. No one's going to find the frag before.
Sudden death.
Sib should be spotted though, and Dramis should know his location off the back of the Pika.
Good use of the sound used by Sib there, but pressure from Dramis is unrelenting as Sib is railable without an injection. They might meet here down in the rail room as Dramis knows where he is and pushes him for the kill, but Sib is hitting them better rockets and somehow Sib comes away with that kill.
What on earth? It looked like Dramis had won it there.
Yeah, I mean, Dramis made all the right moves. He read Sib perfectly, but Sib hit 2 to 3 pretty much direct, and it somehow pulled him away.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Sib was on the back foot most of the entire map. 4 pickups of the heavy armor. It's not a lot.
No.
So he did everything he needed to.
I don't know how he's been able to do that. I'm so surprised he's won in the last few seconds of the game. That's absolutely mind-boggling, but he's done it. Sib causing a divide in the series. Now it's split 1 map apiece as on Molten, literally in the last seconds, he clutches it out. That's miraculous.
I think it's the first time today we've gone 1-1 as well.
I think so. I think it feels like every game has been a 3-0 tonight before this point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Vial of Vengeance, our final map. Ranger for Dramis, Keel coming out for Sib. This is what it all comes down to. Do or die.
Yeah, and the way in which that match went down, I actually do favour Sib on Nikhil. Now he's the one with the stack advantage. I feel that all series until now, he's really been struggling with the lack of stack that his champions have offered. So Keel gives him that solid foundation to play off, and I'm interested to see how that benefits him.
And if this will be a potential edge. Dramis, of course, on the other hand, does have the Ranger. I mean, the Dire Orb's a little bit useful, of course, to be able to reposition yourself, but Vale is just so close quarters, so many blocks, lines of sights. It's not a map where it's as effective, although definitely a couple of neat tricks you can pull out with it. Definitely feel like the kills additional stack is probably going to be the bigger takeaway from this one as the advantage off the champion picks, really.
I mean, as a kill, you can essentially park yourself up on the teleporter exit and just patrol the high ground.
Mm.
And you're an immovable force when you're up there with a big stack.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, the pressure is definitely on Dramis in terms of making the plays. I think as a kill on Vale, you can play the basics and win convincingly.
Well, then, time for Vale to kick off. We have Sib looking like the Terminator right now. Will he be able to terminate Dramis to start off this series? Oh, already with a big rocket coming out to do a lot of damage. Great use of that as the early initiate.
I come bearing gifts.
Firing off those little pineapples as he goes. Here comes the push from the rear. As Dramis is looking to try and take him down. Dramis is already relatively low. Sib forces the try and pull back. Rocket.
Oh no.
That pineapple looks to finish him with the LG and will do so with 7 HP remaining.
Yeah, those grenades are... They disrupt fights hugely. So obviously Dramis not calculating on taking an additional source of damage in that engagement, and it was his downfall. And as we pointed out at the very start, Sib just parking himself up in the mega area. When you're on the high ground, it's incredibly difficult for anyone to do anything against you, because there's no access points. You can drop down, pick yourself up a light armor if you need to, otherwise you just sweep up the heavy, split the two, and away you go.
Firing out as many pineapples as possible now as he's liking to really bring the ruckus on this one. He is low on stack though, so he can't afford any overcommits or shenanigans. Wow. Turn rail coming out. Sib, 10 HP. Barely able to stay alive here as there is just things bombarding all around him, but he does fight through it.
He does, and he's back up, but Dramis has recognized it, and obviously one of the powers of the Ranger is using that ability, and he's got the versatility to pick up the Mega cleanly and come away with a nice kill. Obviously, a very clean kill, meaning he now can keep that pressure up relatively freely. But in spite of the opening rail, Sib's stack is still commanded. He's hit some good rails himself. Dramis does go up aggressively. Doesn't overcommit though, does enough damage. Is wary of Sib's rail, who is returning in kind nonetheless.
Oh.
That is an amazing flick from the high ground.
That is so sick. That was really, really nicely executed. And now he's boosted himself up onto the elevated angle as well, fully committed to try and tackle Sib direct into a follow-up rocket to blow Sib up. And it's now 3-1. A frag a minute so far for Dramis here.
Dramis is doing what he needs to do, which is make sure you play a high tempo. Don't let the keel regroup, pick up weapons, pick up stack, because that's when keel shines. So you want to continually be chipping away, taking engagements.
Yeah, just fight, fight, and fight. Don't give him time to be able to build up a nice little pineapple farm to play with. Consistently keep the pressure on him like Dramis is doing, which is working out very well for him. Still, it is the early game. There's a chance for this tide to turn, but as of right now, it at least looks like he's got the answer to what Sib is bringing.
Exactly. It's only 3 frags though. Obviously in Vale, that's not a big lead in the slightest. But Sib has been knocked off his perch, hasn't been able to get back onto that high ground and get onto the Mega, which is exactly what he wants to do. Dramis has his orb, decides to... That's lovely.
Sib, he's building that stack back up slightly. Finally got a bit of a poke off as well on towards Dramis, but that's instantly been buffed out as he walks back over towards the Mega and cleans himself clean up to 160 HP with 90 armor. Here's the push from above, and no Sib's there. He's trying to zap him with the LG. Quick flick around.
Oh, wow.
Perfect. And that is a beautiful frag with the rail.
That was really nice.
Stopwatch.
And Sib is struggling now. Dramis is continually bullying Sib, and each one of these frags is becoming cleaner and cleaner. Sib's not doing anywhere enough damage, and this is why the tempo is so high from Dramis.
Fighting over control of the heavy, and it will go the way of Dramis, and he's still getting rail after rail straight into the fleshy body of Sib. Oh.
Dramis is nearly doing 2/3 more damage than Sib. So, yeah, I mean, the leaders are now getting into a point, being very commanding, but Sib needs to at least try and do some damage. Dramis is making these pushes, just not hitting his shots.
He won't be able to do anything, and he's doing such a great job of starving him out. And him being the one setting the pace of the game over and over again, as everything is connecting. Swings wide with the LG, flicks back over towards the rail to be able to land it. Oh. Dramis gets the Mega. They both trade a single rail into one another.
Yeah, Sib's only had one heavy and 3 Megas all game so far. And this is the problem. I mean, it's not his playstyle, but taking someone like Cooler as an example, who put such a conscious effort on picking up major items at all costs. It's so powerful. It's the one thing Sib's not been doing, is just not picking up any major items. Even if it's going to cost you your life, to steal it away, if you're going to deal damage, you can then run back off the spawn. That's a really potent tactic as a heavy champion, because if you die, you spawn with a big stack anyway. So you can follow up and hopefully refrag.
Headshot.
Oh, that is absolutely brutal as well. What a kill to pick up. He soars through the sky. Finally, he will
That's
fall.
exactly it. He did so much damage to Dramis that he could then pick up a weapon and run it.
Yeah.
Now he's back in with a good chance.
I mean, he's actually got a chain at least 2 together. Maybe there could be an opening here for even more if he can keep this up. As he does just roam. Again, building his stack first. He knows he's got a little bit of time, not too much, but enough if he continues like he is now. Getting the major items, getting frag after frag when given that opportunity each time.
Exactly. But there is only 2 minutes left, so it is a lot to do.
Might generally need to play a little bit more ballsy here, a little bit more rough and wild, as the slow and steady approach isn't going to work as long as time ticks down.
Nice.
Finds Dramis again. That surely must have felt like it was going to be a kill for him. He'll be frustrated if he doesn't get this one. Luckily enough, he had the LGs to clean it up. And I mean, he can do this. He only needs 4 more frags. He's got 1 minute and 30 to do so. But can he find those kills? That will be the question.
Yeah, Dramis is just going to be on the run now. He has found him. Can he get him? Gonna have to do something wild here.
Big pineapple spam coming out. Said it would be the rocket jump up to try and do it from a depth-defying height. But he can't get the kill. Super shotgun through. I mean, both of them so low on their stack in the final 60 seconds down, but they're just not killing each other. It's a bit of a stalemate after a really awkward brawl between the both of them.
Yeah, awkward is the word. Dramis is somehow still alive as Sib hits another rail. But it's not enough. That's going to be a stretch too far with only 30 seconds remaining. It's nigh on impossible now, if not impossible now. Dramis walks away in a much closer map than he probably would have liked given the start he had. And overall, a very close series.
Yeah, a tight series, but the winner is going to be decided. Dramis with the old telefrag, of course, towards the end there, at the back of the dial, but just an extra little point proven for him. 10-5 will be the scoreline at the end. I think 10-6 just about squeezed out by Sib in the last couple of seconds. Yeah, 10-6. Dramis, they split the series 2-1.
I think overall, Sib showed he has a lot of potential to play with. But again, just a huge amount of mistakes and I guess underestimation of his own capabilities and what he needs to be doing. He gave away the map far too easily in some situations, particularly on the first game, even though the Sorlag did have a much bigger stack. And his strategy and defense on Vial was a bit too passive. He should have probably put a lot more pressure on the major items to try and at least steal some away. Because when he did that, that's when we saw things swing much more in his favor. Otherwise, there wasn't a lot to separate them. I mean, that probably wouldn't have said that at the start of the season when Sib came back in after Dramis' performances in previous weeks. So Sib can definitely walk away with his head held proud as the series does go 2-1 to Dramis.
Yeah. I mean, it does go to show that obviously these two are still quite closely knit. They're woven from the same cloth in their approach to the game and how close they are as competitors at the minute. So still good points proven from both of them. Just unfortunate that obviously Vale really didn't go the way that I think Sib thought it would going into it. Moving on from this, we will have Tox versus Avok. Now, this actually should be a little bit of a backyard brawl. It should be a very fun affair. Tox, always high octane, always fun. Avok, he has been looking better and better every day since we saw his performance in Poland. So I can't wait to see if there is still going to be more of an upwards draft for him. That will be when we come back in Game 6 after the break. For now, get yourself some water and come back for that one.